Ready?
Okay. We'll have class afterwards, Bob.
I'd like to call the Newman City Council regular meeting of July 11th, 2000 to order. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, God, for bringing us here safely tonight. Please give us the guidance and the wisdom to make the right decisions for our community. In this we pray. Amen.
Amen.
May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Martinez.
Present.
Applegate.
Present.
Present.
Radford.
Present.
Present. Item number 5, these are communications from the staff. Are there any tonight? None? Okay. Item number 6, these are items from the public. These are non-agenda items. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in the meetings, it would be appreciated if you would limit your comments to 3 minutes so that everyone may be heard. Matters under the jurisdiction of the Council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public at this time. However, California law prohibits the Council from taking action on any matter which is not on the posted agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the City Council. Are there any non-agenda items tonight? Okay, seeing none. Items from the public, these are on the agenda items. Any member of the audience desiring to address the Council on a matter on the agenda, please raise your hand or step to the podium at the time the item is announced by the mayor. In order that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak, any person addressing the council will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes unless the mayor and the council grants a longer period of time. Item number 7, these are public hearings. 7A is to adopt resolution number 2000 next to number, a resolution declaring the intentions of the City Council of the City of Newman to levy and collect assessments for fiscal 2000-2001, approving the engineer's report as filed, and confirming the levy of assessments for fiscal 2000-2001. Cleve or Margaret?
Margaret will handle that one. Give her a minute to move over.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the Council. The item before you this evening is a routine one. It's one that comes before you every year. It relates to the city's lighting and landscaping districts, which have been created in compliance with the 1972 Maintenance Act. There are currently 9 zones equaling 1,022 parcels, which will be assessed at $55,000. All the monies collected from this goes into a special lighting and landscaping fund. Those revenues are only to be used for that purpose at those specified locations. This year, starting July 1st, the city has contracted with Early Bird to provide maintenance service for those areas. Costs are expected to be $5,000 more than they have in the past. Any costs that exceed the revenue at year end will be supplemented and subsidized by the general fund. We cannot exceed any more than the what the revenue collection is from the tax rolls. Once the council holds its public meeting and approves these figures, they will be submitted to the county auditor's office to be placed on the 2000-2001 tax rolls. Staff is available for any questions.
Are there any questions for Margaret? Okay, being that there's no questions, this is a public hearing, so I will open up the public hearing. Ask if there are any comments from the public. Seeing none, I will open up the public hearing and bring it back to council for direction. Or I'm sorry, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to council for direction.
I move that we approve resolution number 2000 next number, a resolution declaring the intention of the City Council of the City of Newman to levy and collect assessments for the fiscal year 2000-2001, approving the engineer's report as filed, and confirming the levy of assessment for the fiscal year 2000-2001.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, thank you, Margaret. Item B is to review and approve annual grantee performance report, CDBG 98-STBG-1258. Margaret?
Honorable Mayor, members of the Council, the item before you this evening is a routine housekeeping item which comes before you annually. It's an opportunity for the city to receive and to give information, to receive input from the citizens in regards to our community development block grants. We'll also briefly review the current grant that the city is operating under, received in 1998. We'll mention briefly the program income reuse plan and any possible applications that we might apply for in the year 2001. The CDBG is an acronym for the Community Development Block Grant. It's a program by which the Federal Housing and Urban Development Department, HUD, funds small cities and counties, and this program is administered through the California Department of Housing and Community Development, known as HCD. The primary objective of this program is to benefit target income groups, which are typically low-income, minorities, handicapped, or elderly households, and the second purpose is to eliminate slums and blight. Our current grant is the fourth one that we received. It's for $500,000. Its intention was to fix 16 units. Currently, we spent $267,468, and we spent $41,000 from our redevelopment housing set-aside fund. We have completed the remodeling of 7 units. The 4 grants that we've had combined has spent a total of $1.39 million. Our housing set-aside has funded $153,000, and we have fixed 44 units to date. Most of this money comes in the form of either grants, which doesn't have to be repaid, deferred loans, which has to be repaid somewhere down the road, and there is a possibility that those obligations can be waived, or actual outright loans. Those actually outright loans are paid back to the city. It goes into a fund that we call program income. The council has committed this funds for supporting new CDBG housing rehabilitation programs in our program income reuse plan. This year, we spent $13,000 to assist some participants for additional funding that they didn't qualify for under the normal CDBG program, and that's been the extent of the use of the program income. Year 2001, the guidelines for the program has remained the same. We can submit applications up to $500,000 for additional rehab programs or economic development programs. That is limited. Maximum allocation per year is $800,000. We can also participate in the Planning, Technical, and Assistance Program at $35,000 per application at a total of $70,000. Okay, so basically that's a quick overview of the program. If there's any public input, it could be stated tonight, or it could be sent to the City Hall and it will be in the record. This program is monitored by the federal government and by the state, since this is federal funding. And that's basically all on this.
All right, are there any questions for Margaret? Margaret, one quick question that I have is, you said here that there's 7 of the units are completed. There's the other 2 that are in construction, and there's another 9 that have been approved for loans.
No,
What-
that's a total of 9.
Oh,
2
I'm
or
sorry.
7 are
I'm
complete,
sorry.
and 2 are.
Okay, when are the other 2 slated to be done? Is there any?
I'm
idea?
not sure.
No, okay. Okay. Any questions for Margaret?
You might just mention, Margaret, that this has been a very successful program. As you recall, you may have seen in your monthly reports that we did apply for another one of these, a $500,000 grant, and we came in number 58 out of.
We came in
61 out of
61.
58 that were approved. There's still a possibility, so we weren't approved at this time, but as monies are turned in, there may be a possibility we may be partially funded, receive part of that, or possibly even all of it if enough money
Right.
comes in later on, so.
That's for the year 2001?
That's for the one that we applied for in April. That was the 2000 grant.
Do we, because I know they're rated on certain points, and I know a few years ago when we had applied for some grants, we had a problem with our housing element, housing element up before it was updated. Were there other things that we didn't score very high on, or that we could?
They're going to be coming to our office and
Okay.
going over the application too. It's it became very competitive.
Right.
You know, above all, it is competitive. So you can have a great application this year and be ranked 1. You can have this identical application next year, but if you've got a lot more participants doing a better job, then you may
Right.
not even be funded.
Right. But I'm just saying, because I remember a couple years
Yeah.
ago, there was a couple years in a row we didn't get funded because our housing element wasn't updated, but there doesn't seem to be any
No,
problem.
That's definitely not the problem now. Our housing element
Right.
is in
Right.
good shape.
No, I know, but I'm just wondering if there are maybe other things.
We'll
that
find out.
maybe-
Yeah, we're not aware of anything right now.
Okay.
Margaret, is there a time frame that these funds from individual grants have to be spent?
Yes, the program expires on March 1st, so any work has to be completed by then. Anything that's not spent by that date will be returned back to the program.
That's March 1st of next year?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
But
Any-
Margaret, if I understand right, we do plan to spend all of
Yes.
the amount. In
There
fact,
might be
there may be
the-
some out of the general fund that we have to add in, is it?
No, not out of the general fund. But at the end, last time we returned 14,000 because we got to the end of the wire and there wasn't a participant whose program met the amount of funding that was available, nor would it have been completed by that deadline. So there is a possibility that we may not use all that money, and it won't harm, because we are meeting our milestones. We're well over half of the program is already spent.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? This is a public hearing, so I will open this up for the public. Ask if there are any questions or comments. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to council for direction.
I move approval of the annual grantee performance report, CDBG 98, STBG 1258.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Item 7C, this is to adopt resolution number 2000, next to number, declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4. Ernie?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. This is a code enforcement issue. Just prior to the start of the meeting, I handed out to you a list of properties that failed to comply with the notice to abate. Staff recommendation is that you declare these properties a public nuisance. This public hearing is required by law so that the property owners will have an opportunity to protest the proposed action.
All right, are there any questions for Ernie? No?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Ernie,
Yes, sir.
I noticed these on here. What about the one over on West Street with that huge pile of brush and everything back?
That one I have, I'm responsible for that one. I didn't make contact with the owner, then I had a day off and I forgot all
I
about
mean,
it.
it's
but I
been
will
about
follow
a
on.
little better than 2 months now. And,
Yes,
that is
he
definitely a fire hazard over there.
Yes, it is. It's a brush pile that needs to be removed out of there. I had contacted the contractor who was supposed to remove that. They were looking for a place for a farmer would allow them to dispose of it so that it wouldn't be of any cost to the property owner. But we needed to at least move that brush pile away from that fence because it is a fire hazard. But I was the one who failed to follow up and contact on that property owner, but I will do so.
Yeah, I think that we ought to push that one particularly.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? This is also a public hearing, so I will open up the public hearing. Ask for any comments from the public. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to council for direction.
I move we approve resolution number 2000, next number, a resolution declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Ernie. Item number 8, this is a consent calendar. 8A is the approval of warrants. 8B is approval of minutes of the June 27, 2000 regular meeting. And C is to adopt resolution number 2000, next to number, a resolution adopting a joint powers agreement for solid waste planning services between the county of Stanislaus and the cities of Ceres, Houston, Newman, Oakdale, Patterson, Riverbank, Turlock, and Waterford. Are there any questions on the consent calendar? If not, can we have some direction?
Make a motion, we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 5-0. Item 9, this is regular business to review and discuss of sewer connection at 1525 S Street. Cleve?
Just quickly, I'm going to ask Ernie to make a presentation on this. He's got an overhead that he'll show you and try to explain the issue here. Mr. Lopes is here tonight if he can comment if he'd like to, and then we can discuss this. So there's some more. I may have some input on it also.
All right.
Mr. Lopes lives here at 1525 S Street. Just to give you your direction, this is S Street along here. This is Inyo. That's to the north, and that's the alley. Since Mr. Lopes lived in this residence, his original discharge, sewer discharge, was out and across this property and over into this alley. The water line pretty much runs the same course. In 1995, he started having problems with the sewer line. He contacted a licensed contractor by the name of Jerry Rose. At that time, Mr. Rose advised Mr. Lopes that the sewer line was an old Orangeburg type of pipe that was collapsing, and that his best bet would be to either replace the line or find some other means of discharging to the city sewer system. It is my understanding that Mr. Lopes and Jerry Rose approached this owner of 1407 Inyo, which is Mr. Jess Espino. They asked them for permission to put in a new sewer line, cut across the property on the west side of the property of 1407 Inyo, and tie into a 4-inch line that runs along the city's right-of-way. It seems that at the end of last year, I believe, is when Mr. Espino, for a reason unknown to me, decided that he didn't want that sewer line running across his property any longer. So he requested that Mr. Lopes remove that sewer line, or he threatened that he was going to cut it off. Mr. Espino, it is my understanding, approached the building department and made his protest known to them. The building department at that time, thinking that this was an issue that had just come up recently, issued a notice of in order to remove that sewer line, and gave Mr. Lopes, I believe, a 30-day period to do so. This line, this main line that runs along here along the right-of-way, is what Mr. Espino claims as it being his line. In the beginning, I was under the impression that back when Mr. Lopes had a problem with the sewer line, that he had tied onto the plumbing of his house, and that he no longer wanted that to be allowed. But that wasn't the case. He's got a new sewer line along this fence line, and so that's the issue that needs to be resolved.
Yeah, maybe I can add just for a minute. I've met with Mr. Lopes on several occasions. He's been in to see me. I've been out to his house to look at the issue. And the real issue involved, obviously, the old sewer line that ran across 1419 Inyo, I'm assuming, Ernie, you can help me out, was probably the original sewer line that was put in, Mr. Lopes, what, 30 years ago, 40 years ago? 47 years ago, okay. As you know, back then, there probably was no official easement that was recorded, just because that's the way they did things then. There probably was nothing. There's nothing that shows on any of the title records or anything that we're aware of that shows that that was an official easement. There is some question. You've got a couple of letters attached from Mr. Lopes' attorney which say that because the line going across Mr. Espino's property has been in for 5 years, and there was a verbal agreement, no written agreement, but a verbal agreement between Mr. Lopes and Mr. Espino, that line could go in, that his attorney feels that is enough to say that there is a legal easement there, because it's been in for over 5 years now, I believe. His attorney also says that because the other line going across the Kirkendall's property is a legal easement, the Kirkendalls also have an attorney which basically rebuts that and says that he doesn't feel it is. So there's a lot of controversy that way. The bottom line is that as far as the city is concerned, the way the sewer is hooked up currently is legal and is fine with the city. Now, the problem exists between Mr. Espino and Mr. Lopes if Mr. Espino insists that that has to go. But the decision and where I see that that would really, someone would tell Mr. Lopes or Mr. Espino that that will be removed, that line from there, would be a decision of the court, not a decision that we can make as a council. So our position, or my position and recommendation to the council right now is that everything is fine unless something happens that Mr. Espino decides to take this to court and get an order to have it removed. At that time, there would be no sewer system in place, and we would have to, you know, one way or the other, get a way for him to have sewer. But it would still be Mr. Loeb's responsibility to find an easement, whether he still has the legal easement through the 1419 INYO, or whether he arranges for an easement somehow through 1407 INYO. That would be a question that he would have to resolve where that comes out. But as for right now, it is a legal hookup. We don't have a problem with it unless something happens through a court order or whatever, someone tells him that he has to remove that line. I have had our city attorney review that, and I believe that's consistent with what your opinion is on the issue,
I
Tom.
concur with Cleve's analysis. We talked about it a while back.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, at this point, it's a...
Oh, it was on. Just move a little closer.
Yeah, again, I concur with what Cleve said. It's basically a private civil matter at this point. The city just doesn't have any authority to impose an easement. So, but also, as Cleve says, until there's some order from a court that says it's inappropriate, it is appropriate.
This building department has rescinded their order, right?
The building department, I've talked to them, and they're holding off based on what we tell them tonight. And so, unless something is changed by the council tonight, I will let them know that, it's a legal hookup right now, and unless something changes through a court order or other matters, then we will not pursue the matter further.
Well, after everything I read and after talking to Cleve and listening to our attorney, I agree. I concur the same way that there's nothing that we can do. It's a civil matter, and until that's taken care of, our hands are tied.
I don't know, Mr. Lopes, if you have any comments you'd like to make, we invite you to.
I'm gonna fall down there yet. I agree with the,
If you could state your name and address for the record. We all know who you are, you just have to.
okay,
just for
my
the
name is
record.
Norman Lopez, my address is 1525 S Street, Newman. As you know, from what's been going on, I'm landlocked. And for what you fellas said, I appreciate your understanding what the problem is, but it doesn't do me a bit of good. If I decide to sell my house, what am I going to tell the people that buy it? I have no access to the sewer or the water line. If Kirkendalls decide to sell their house, they're going to have to tell them that there's a sewer line and a water line through their property without an easement. Same way with Mr. Espina. Now, there's 3 properties there that, Jess decided he was going to sell that in about 1.5 years and retire. And he came to me, that's when he said that he wanted it out. But he says that it lowers the property value of his house by having that right of way through there, that easement through there. I would understand that if it went through the middle of the property or something like that. But it's with about 5 foot to 7 foot on the back end of his property where he can't build anyway because you have to stay 5 foot away from the property line. So actually it's hurting absolutely nothing. And Kirkendalls got a hold of their son, which is a lawyer, and he says, well, you go ahead and put your line through there, but I want $1,000, good faith, deposited in my account, and then if that line isn't put through the way we want it, we keep the $1,000 or use the money to bring it up to par with everything. Well, they can find anything wrong they want to and say that $1,000 is there and I'm out that. And Jesse decided, later he says, well, go ahead, you can leave your line there, but I want a $5,000 bond. So to me, it all boils down to money. I've got a aggressive agreement, I think that's what they call it. I went to Modesto, and they told me that there was no way they could stop me from putting that line back through Kirkendall's property. But when I went to do it, I wanted to patch a 5-foot piece in there. She said, no, I don't want it. But then her son comes up, he says, well, put a whole new line clear across it. Well, they won't let me dig 5 foot, but they want me to go 72 foot across their lawn, their yard. So I'm sort of stuck. I really don't know what to do. But like you say, as of now, I'm just back in the same fix I am. I mean, I've been all along.
Are there any questions for Mr. Lopez?
According to your attorney, this is a legal easement.
Yes.
And so that would, it would probably stand up in court.
But I have to have their permission to go into their backyard, which she will not give me permission to go in there and dig up her backyard.
But on
What
this
about, I'm talking about the one on Mr. Espino's property.
Well, that one there is legal because it's been there over 5 years, he said, and it was, I have 4 witnesses that stated, that will state that he gave me permission to put that line there. And he was there 3 times while that line was being put in.
But like I say, according to your attorney, that is a legal
Right.
thing, so
Right.
that would be probably.
I have
the courts,
I have the
but-
papers there, well, maybe you do too. I have the papers there from my attorney that states that fact.
Yeah, right.
But your only recourse is the civil courts.
Well, evidently then, I guess that's it.
If we,
But what happened, if both of them said I can't do it, then what do I do? Close up shop and move out? You know, there's gotta be something in there someplace, I don't know. Somebody's gotta give on one end or the other.
But you gotta take it one step at a time.
Well, I think
I've went
the
5
answer,
months already.
yeah, I think the answer to that is the problem, and then you're right, you are stuck in somewhat of a hard spot there, but the answer is that both of them essentially have told you that you can go through
Yeah, for money.
for a price, yeah.
Right.
And that's the normal process. Normally, to get an easement, you end up going and buying an
But
easement.
not when you already
right,
have
if you already have one, and if a court tells you that, then you're fine.
Then you're okay.
But if the court tells you no, that the only way you can get one if you go back and buy one, then you may have to do that in order to establish that legal easement.
But we have found, though, have we found on this that, and you were saying a minute ago, with our building department, we all looked into this. What Wilmar Jensen's letter here states as far as there being a legal easement, that's correct. This,
No, I'm not saying that. I'm
But it-
saying that.
is a connection correct?
We're
I'm saying
saying
is
there's
it-
a legal connection as
That's what I
far
mean.
as the
Okay,
city
that's
is
what I mean.
concerned.
There's a
Correct.
legal
So I don't
connection.
have a problem with the way things are right now. The city does not have a problem with it. The problem, again, is if Mr. Espino were to go in and get a court order saying this is going across my property illegally and has to be removed, then at that point, then something different would have to be done, and we would have to get
but in
involved.
terms of what the city, as far as the legal connection and everything else, we're fine on that. There's
Correct.
no problem
Well,
there.
then,
Okay.
what about in 1953, when the original line was put in there?
Mhm.
Why did the city hook onto the water and the sewer if it wasn't legal? In 1953, when that was hooked up, yeah, that ditch was already across there. They come and inspected it. I've been around here
No.
75 years.
No, I'm
I
not
know
saying
what's
that, I'm
going
not
on.
saying the other one was illegal either. But all I'm saying is on private property, the city does not have any authority over lines that are on private property. Once they get either in an easement or out in the right of way, then they're okay. We have control over them. While that is on private property, as long as that line stayed good through the Kirkendall's property, we had no problem with it, there was no problem. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I'm not an attorney. I think that you probably have a good issue that is a legal easement through the Kirkendall's property. It's been there for 47 years, and your water line still runs through there. But like I say, I'm not the attorney. I can't go in and draw an easement on the title. I don't have that authority. There's a process that has to go through to get that. And that's what needs to be done.
Well, if I'm correct, from what I see, is that if the court says he has an easement, then the building department's deal is a moot point.
Yeah, if the court says that he has an easement, then in my mind, what would happen is it would then go, we would take that court order, go in and you would take the court order, go in and get it recorded, and it would be official on a deed, and then the whole matter
Then
is
you can do what-
resolved.
Your repairs.
I don't know, I've tried every course that I could think of, and right now I'm at a dead end, and the only thing I can see is just forget it.
Well, you haven't tried the court.
What am I supposed to do, take them to court?
Yes.
I've already spent almost $3,000, and I still, according to everybody else, I have no legal sewer. How much
No,
money is
no,
it gonna cost
I've
me
told
to
you-
do
No,
that?
no, no.
We've told you you do have legal sewer currently. We don't have a problem with the way things are right
But if I
now.
go to court and Jess beats me in court, I don't have a sewer.
That's right.
Then if I want to go back to my original place, then I have to take Kirkendall's to court. And if they decide I don't want to, then like I said, I have no sewer either way, because the court says I'm not legal here, I'm not legal there.
Well, they said that you can go through if you do all these 4 or 5 different things, so you will have a sewer. You just have to pay more.
I don't know. I thank you.
Is there something that we could do as far as sending off a letter to the other property owners saying that we feel that there's, in terms of the sewer connection, that it's legal? I mean,
No,
I don't think
no.
it's relevant to the issue of the easement itself, which is
No.
really the legal problem right now.
I imagine you're gonna find several of these things around the city when everyone changed from septic tanks to the sewer system. I know I have my neighbor's sewer line comes through my property because of that, so.
We had a problem in one of the other cities we represent where when they recorded all the deeds back in 1913, they're all off by, I forget however many feet. So arguably you had everybody.
Yeah, my sewer line goes to
So
somebody else's property
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, 'cause they all go back
It's
to
quite
the alley.
common in
so-
Newman.
yeah.
But like you say, you know, if you ever decide you want to sell a property, you've got to get this resolved one way or another. I know it's a frustration right now, but in the future, in order to sell, you have to have it resolved. Yeah.
I
put
put
my
my
house
house up for sale
Because of the two
just about a year ago. I
Yeah.
had it sold.
Uh-huh.
But my wife has got 3 herniated discs, and she couldn't go through the process of moving. So I took it off the market. But I had the house sold already.
Mm.
So that was the case, all I had to do was just take the money and walk out. Then, when something went wrong, then what? I'd still be liable?
Could be, I mean, for
Say it went 4 or 5
non-disclosure?
years, and I'm
Mhm.
still liable? See, I
Could
mean,
be,
there's
yeah.
got to be something done, because mine isn't the only one in this town. I can show you 2 right there in my block. It's exactly like mine.
I'm sure there's a lot of them.
them.
When you bought the property, was it owned by one owner? Or were both parcels owned by one owner?
No, if
The
you'd
whole
come
block?
up here.
The whole block was owned by, we used to call him Casey Jones. He owned the whole block. He had a few fruit trees, and he had a couple of garages and that, and he lived in a little shack. He sold the first piece of property to Bob Cornell on the corner of Inyo and S Street. Bob was a carpenter for Jimmy Franzen. Kirkendall bought his piece of property behind Bob Cornell's, and Franzen built his house in 1952. So Bob Cornell had my piece of property and he sold my piece to Jimmy Franzen. And Jimmy Franzen built my house in 1953. And he put the line right across Kirkendall's and mine, you know, into my house, and that was in 1953. And then that 3 pieces that's left, one was bought by a Spanish fella, and then his brother bought another piece, and then Silva's, or on the alley, used to belong to, we used to call him Cyrene Shaw. He bought a piece and built a house on the alley. And that pink house on my side of the street, on S Street, runs under Silva's carport. the line under the carport, because I checked the water line, and that's where it's at. So I doubt that he's got an easement through there either. So, I don't know, you know, just like you say, it's been so long ago, and nothing right. I checked in with the city, what is it, building department or whatever it is, to find out what I had done legally in my property. They only go back to 1984. That's when I put a roof on my house the last time. That's the only record in there, and down the line, I've done half a dozen different things, and it was all done with permits, you know, but they don't even show.
And nothing in your deed states that you have easements for?
No, it says on there, just like it does Kirkendall's, if an easement is necessary or a right-of-way, it has to be granted. That's the way it states on mine and on theirs. But they said they don't have to grant it now because it's already there and it's not on their deed. So, and I have to go along with it because it's not on mine either. I've got the copy of both deeds right there if anybody wanted to look at them. So, like I say, I'm still right back where I started. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
9B.
Okay, item 9B, this is to review and approve the streetscape facade repair program. Cleve?
Okay. As you know, shortly the city is going to be undertaking our streetscape program. And this ambitious program, we might have a little difficulty as the sidewalks and streets get repaired that we discover structural damage or disrepair on some of our storefronts. We need to come up with a program that will assist our property owners in getting this repaired as quickly as possible so that the streetscape program and work can be progress as quickly as and stay on schedule as much as possible. So basically, we came up with a quick fix idea that might help expedite the program as quickly as possible. Basically, the key is going to be communication, cooperation, and coordination. The city's going to need to communicate with the property owners to know the potential problems that exist. They need to know what they have to do and what they should do. There needs to be cooperation between the city and the property owners so that the work gets done as quickly as possible and everybody work together to get the program going and that the repairs can continue flowing according to schedule. And coordination between the city and the property owners, the building department and public works so everybody knows what everybody's doing and we can get everything in place as quickly as possible. The suggestion would be that the minute that the streets are torn up and a problem is discovered, which the property owner hopefully will have an idea that it might occur, that they will be instructed by the city what the problem is and what needs to be done. At that point in time, the property owner is responsible for having it repaired as soon as possible, immediately, so that the program could continue. They have two options. One, they could hire a contractor or do the repairs themselves. The building department will give them instructions and specifications as to exactly what needs to be done so that the sidewalk could be repaired and the program could go on. Or they could do the work themselves if they're qualified to do so and want to do that. Or secondly, the city could hire contractors, handyman, carpenters type of people. They'd be as city employees on the payroll, on our workers' comp and liabilities. They would be paid by the hour. They would be available immediately as soon as a problem is discovered, and according to the building department's instructions, they will repair what is necessary to get the work done. At that time, the cost will be estimated and the property owner will be responsible for whatever cost there is, but it's something that the property owner and the city could arrange in the future. We can take care of that. The work could go on and we'll take care of that as at the same time. The building department will have a coordination with the architectural review committee. We'll work with local vendors to have the materials ready. We will probably have even some color palettes prepared if a person wants to continue the work. Since we're going through this process anyway, we want to encourage the property owners to fix their entire facade. The facade program is in place and it will be encouraged that people use these. We will try to make it as quick and easy as possible. But there is some points of caution. We are recommending that the fee for the building permits be waived, but not the building permit process. It's critical that we go through the proper procedure of permitting as we would any other job. If it is a loan, a substantial amount of money through the facade program, we still have to go through the process of approving and issuing a loan as we would under any other circumstances. A couple of substantial loans could really hurt our facade fund, and it's not the prudent thing to do. We'll work with the people, we'll try to fast track it as much as possible, but there are some things that can't be rushed. But if we can check, we can do preliminary title searches and credit checks right up front. That should not take long. So if a person is willing to do substantial repairs to the entire facade program, we'll work as quickly as possible, but not sacrificing the quality or ensuring the city's financial stake in this process. So this was just one idea that we thought we could come up with. It's still using the program that's in place with the addition of hiring a few of the contractors and handymen, carpenters per se, that would go out as city employees and make the repairs, but financially the property owner would still be responsible. But on the separate side, they could apply for and participate in the facade program.
All right. Are there any questions for Margaret?
I have one, Margaret. Have all the people that are going to be affected by this been notified and know exactly what we plan to do?
I think they've been notified of the program. I don't think anybody has been told what the possible scenario could be to their particular place. I know that our building department and public works probably knows of some places that have damage. I don't know if we have not approached the property owner and said.
I would think they should be notified.
Absolutely.
It would be a terrible surprise.
Yeah.
Sure, we definitely plan on doing that. We will meet with, as Margaret mentioned, there are some that we have a pretty good idea that there will be some problems when the sidewalk is removed. We're not certain, obviously, until that gets done, but so we are planning on going through and talking to them and letting them know of the potential that will be there and what might happen, presenting this program to them and what we can do and to participate and help them from the city side.
And when would that take place, Clay? I mean,
Very soon now, so probably within the next probably 2 to 3 weeks.
thank you.
Has it been anticipated how much loss there might be for building permits, because we still have to pay the building inspectors? And
Right. No, there has not.
Okay.
It's hard to anticipate that because we
Yeah, I
don't know what the work is going to be. There's a lot of questions out there what we're going to run into. But
And it will be limited just to the structural correction. The permits only have to be on the structure part, and the only part that we will waive is the part that's necessary to be repaired so that the streetscape program can go on.
Now, I had a building owner come to me this week, and he says he has a drain coming down, however, the pipe coming out under the sidewalk is smaller than what his drain is. And his question was, are they going to are they going to match those up?
Yeah.
And if so, should he go see our city engineer, or? I advise him to go see the city engineer.
he could if he would like to, but I'm sure that those problems will all be resolved and picked up.
That's
as
what
we
I
go
told him,
through.
because I
Yeah.
said at that one meeting, they said that they were going to match everything up as far as drainage and everything goes. Okay.
Are there any questions? Other questions? What do we want to do as far as this proposal with the temporary employees to make sure that they get this thing done quickly? Is that something that we are?
I think it's more a matter of finding people who are available and quick notice, short notice.
Well, I like the program.
I do too. It's a good idea, just, trying to find
Qualified help that
qualified
can come right
people
away.
now, right?
The building department has informed me that they're aware of folks that
That they
can
can
do this
recommend.
well.
Okay, so,
Okay.
But
So-
you said you'd be using city employees that would be there right away?
We would hire employees as city employees.
It would be
Oh, I see.
So we
Okay.
would hire someone that has the skills,
Oh, okay.
that is either retired, has worked in this field, or is, for whatever reason, not busy right now, that we can bring on. So they would be a city employee on, an hourly basis as needed, so.
And one of the things that we are going to include in this is not only the facade, also the non-conforming signs, if somebody is interested in pulling their
We will look
non-conforming
at that
signs
as part
down.
of it too, yeah.
All right. All right, any other questions? If not, can we have some direction on this?
make a motion, we approve the streetscape facade repair program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Item 9C, this approval of warrant 18996 to PG&E.
I so move approval, for approval of warrant number 18996 to PG&E.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0 with one non-participating. Item number 10, these are items from the city manager. Cleve?
Yes, I have 3 items that I want to discuss with the council. The first one is good news. It's finally got here late, but it is good news. This morning, we received verbal approval from Caltrans on both our streetscape and Inyo Avenue programs. So both of those are approved. We don't have the paper in hand, but they've told us you're approved, move forward with the project. So we will move as quickly as we can to get those out to bid and going now. I wanted to inform the council as far as the streetscape program. This has put us back to where we will probably expect construction to start after Labor Day now. By the time we get out to bid, receive the bids, we are planning on having the council award the bids on the second meeting in August, which is the 22nd. We will close the bids approximately on the 15th in order to give us the amount of bid time that we need. That's a little bit over 30 days, but not much by the time we get it out to bid. If we award it on the 22nd, we hope to have all the contracts, the bonds, and insurance in place by the end of August, and a notice to proceed by the end of August, so that they can begin early in September. So that's the potential schedule. I know that's pushed back a little bit due to this delay in getting this approval, but that's the potential schedule that we're shooting for right now.
And we are going to try and get all of the sidewalks in the downtown area, particularly the sidewalks, done by the Christmas season, if possible.
I would hope that we have all of that, the streets and the sidewalks especially, done hopefully by Thanksgiving, at least by the end of November. That's what we'll be shooting for, and putting this on as fast a track as possible to get this done. So,
Otherwise, we're going to have some unhappy merchants.
right. We've got to get it done before the holiday season. So, any other questions on that? Okay. The second item, I want to pass this out. This came as a little bit of a surprise to me also. The council may recall, and I'm trying to remember for sure if I informed you of this, but each year we're approached by generally Assemblymember Cardoza about potential projects that one-time projects that we'd like to request be put in the state budget. For the past couple of years, we had a little bit of money in there to actually remodel the city hall. This last year, I changed that and asked for money to continue the renovation and startup costs, possibly some first and second year salary costs for the youth center. I actually asked for $75,000, and Assemblymember Cardoza put $100,000 in the budget, and we were awarded $100,000. So we have an additional $100,000 to do some things at the youth center, and hopefully get that program off the ground and going. I will be working a little closer now at looking at ways to make that work and make things work with the co-op nursery preschool that is over there currently, and We've got some ideas of what we can do to continue that program, make it continue to be very successful, and make this a successful teen center also. So those are some, just for your information. I know that the Modesto Bee had listed several projects in there that different cities got. This wasn't one of them, for whatever reason, but it is, I have verified that it was in the budget and this money has been awarded. The third item, as you know, we've been working, I've been working with the school district on the joint bond issue. Excuse me. And we are looking at, if possible, holding a joint meeting at our next city council meeting, which is the 25th of this month. And what I'd like to do, if possible, is schedule this council meeting at 6 o'clock for our regular meeting. Actually, it'd have to be a special meeting because we changed the time, but start at 6 o'clock rather than 7, and hopefully we'll be done by 7, but probably maybe go to 7:30. We do have Hearthstone Ranch annexation plus the Williams Act cancellation on that meeting that we have to do, so we have to take care of those two items. I don't think they'll be real big items, but we do need to have those on the agenda. I'm not aware of, there may be a few other items that are necessary to be on there. We want to finish that up. At that meeting, Mr. Brad Senden, who is currently in the process of doing the bond survey, that is going on right now, we'll have the results. The results will actually be completed by next Monday. He'll have the analysis done and prepared by next Monday, the 17th. And so we want to meet on the 25th to have that presented to the council and the school board together, and final decisions made as to where we go with the bond. At that point, at your meeting on August 8th, the council will need to pass a resolution supporting the school bond. As far as official documentation that needs to take place, it will all be done by the school board because it's the school board's bond authority that is doing this. So we don't technically have to do anything, but the school board has asked for, and I've recommended that we should put forth a resolution supporting the bond that will take place. I would also like to announce that over the next couple of weeks, Mr. Salinas and I will be working on putting together an election committee, talking with the school board members and others as well. They have recommended that the superintendent and 2 school board members sit on that committee, and I'm assuming that we will look at having a couple of council members on that also, and a number of private citizens, business owners, etc. We are still currently looking for a committee chairman or chairperson for that election committee. So if any council members have any ideas of who we can get for that, this will be interesting. I checked with bond counsel, with our financial advisor today, and because of the fact that this is a school bond and not a city bond, the city can actually support and advocate this bond measure. We are not restricted the way the school board will be restricted in supporting and advocating this bond. So it puts us in a little bit different position in how we can be involved and do some things in supporting this bond. So those are just 3 informational items. I just want to kind of get your concurrence on being able to meet at 6 o'clock on the 25th, and then moving after that meeting, probably moving over to the school board or to the high school library for that presentation on the survey results.
All right.
Everybody's okay with that?
And now so we pass our resolution on the 8th of August, and the deadline, my understanding, is the 12th of August that the school board has.
11th is what they were told last night at their school board meeting.
Okay, so August 11th is the deadline for them to have a resolution passed in order to get it on the ballot in November.
Yeah, they have to have that resolution to the county elections clerk, what's the proper term, anyway, by the 11th in order to get that on the November election.
Okay. Any questions for Cleve? No? Thank you, Cleve. Councilmember Martina?
I have nothing other than say the 2 police bikes are beautiful, and I know that there's been a lot of good comments. I know the public is going to feel a lot more secure with them out there. That's all I have.
Councilmember Applegate?
I agree with those sentiments. It's whoever thought it up, it's a great program.
Ed? That's all I have.
Okay. Councilmember Radford?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Councilmember Reed?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
And I have nothing this evening. Oh, one item, Cleve, you had mentioned about the youth center. Is there at the next meeting, can we have, I know we've got some of the money rolled over for that skate park. We've got some money from Rotary, and I know we had put in some other funds, if I'm not mistaken. At the next meeting, can we bring back some type of budget of what we have for that area over there, just to get an idea of what?
For the youth center?
Yeah, that youth center area, including that skate park area, because the Parks and Recreation Commission had tentatively agreed that that Lions Park portion of it would be a good temporary location for that
Yeah.
skate park. But
I don't know, because of what we got on the 25th, I may put it on there, but I'll be
Okay.
presenting Thursday night to the Parks and Recreation Commission a plan for the skateboard park at Lions Park and potential costs and how that would work. So we're kind of moving forward with
Right.
that. And
But also, if we could just get a total amount of
Cost,
money that
right,
we've
sure.
got for this youth center, including this $100,000, that
Mhm.
way at least we know what kind of budget we're looking at.
Sure.
All right. Other than that, I have nothing. If we could have a motion to adjourn.
We have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
can't
Item
do
number 12 is closed session. A is conference with labor negotiator, Government Code 54957.6. And so we will go into closed session in about a minute.
Oh, no, we won't eliminate anything. Okay, good. All I'm doing is I'm moving the playground.
I read that.
Little stuff.
Yeah. I'm glad my neighbor-
Something like that, out there in the nation.
I didn't feel right saying anything about it.
The skate park.
Yeah, that's good.
It really.
Yeah.
I went back there to see
I
him.
mean, I could take
No, that's
pictures.
what I understand, yeah. I've seen some too. I looked at one of them, small and. But yeah, we're looking at doing something, we're having
made a
a
plan.
open area,
Well,
maybe
you know, and you
area,
can tell.
shield around.
Let me get it, let me
And
get
then
it.
they still want to